Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Entrepreneur Middle East. We're here back with Paradigm, episode 5, I believe, of season 2. And with me is a very special guest today. This beauty, her name is Hasnae Taleb. And she's an entrepreneur, she's a stock trading awards winner, but most importantly, she's just a girl who wanted to chase an American dream. And I think you managed to catch it in the end, haven't you? Welcome to the show. Thank you for coming.
Thank you so much. I'm really grateful for this amazing episode that we're gonna just start,
Yes.
and thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. And honestly, I'm very excited to talk to you and to listen to your entire life story because from what I've stalked you on, like it's extremely inspirational. So once again, I can't wait for it and thank you for coming. Tell me, how was your day today? How did it start off?
It was great, busy. So I always start my day with the gym. So I'm someone
Okay.
who wakes up very early. I wake up by 5:30. So I take my breakfast, I get ready to the gym. For me, I have to always stay disciplined, and that's one of the ways I like to start my days, let's say, the right way. And the gym is one of the things that keep me straight with my discipline and with the rest of the day. And then after I come back, I have to check my emails, I have to do a little bit of reading as well, and then I head to the office like anybody else. A lot of people tell me that you're an entrepreneur and you can just go to the office whenever you want and come back whenever you want, but I stick to systems, and I think this is something that I've learned in New York, just being a stock trader, where you just stick to systems for you to perform, right?
Right.
So,
It's very robotic, isn't it? Like
Yeah.
you need to stick to it.
and I do the same almost every day. So,
But were you the same in your childhood? Would you say that this is how you grew up?
no,
A very different girl?
yeah. So my dad was a military guy who would wake up like very, very early and go to work, and
Oh,
he
God.
had systems in place. And my mom was a little bit different than that. And so I didn't really understand what is it to actually wake up really early and be disciplined. For me, it's like if I'm waking up, I'm going to school, right?
Right.
And so I would just wake up like 30 minutes before I go to school, like
Right.
30 minutes or 40 minutes. Those kind of the
I was the
things that have-
same.
right? I
Yeah.
think the majority of people were the same. And I
Until
kind
you
of,
find your purpose, I think. Because school is still something that you're supposed to do because your parents tell you to do it, not because you understand fully why
exactly.
you're doing it, right?
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, I never understood why I was doing it. I never understood why I was studying certain materials,
Mm-hmm.
right? But at some point when I went to high school, I just started picking up the materials that would give me more scores, let's say. And, I was really systematic, just like anybody else. And I would do things last minute. I did
Work
not-
smart.
Yeah, work smart and work hard at the same time. I was really hardworking. At that time, I did not know the meaning of time, let's say. I got to know the real meaning of time when I moved to the US. A lot of skills that I grew up to in Morocco were completely different than what you see, in a different, let's say, environment, like in the
Right.
US or here, where people are really like thriving and there's that grind. And
I feel like
and all
Morocco
that.
is similar to Serbia. You always have time to relax and drink your coffee and think about life and
Yeah.
take things slow. And it's just, life is much slower. I'm not saying it's wrong, but it's just very different from what we're used to. Because Dubai is also pretty fast paced. I mean,
Yes.
I think you can easily compare it to New York.
I think it's because of the goals of people.
The
I was in
energy.
that environment where, for example, being a woman, you're gonna go to university, you're gonna graduate, and then you have to get married and have kids. Well, before that, you're gonna have probably a job and have a car and have a house,
Yep.
and then
Maybe a watch.
yeah, and then get married, and then you have to marry someone who's wealthy and be the provider. And
Yeah.
it's pretty much the, what everybody is into, and I think I was never fit with that environment since
The formula.
since I was like 17, or I started feeling like even before that, 15, 16, I felt like this is not where I want to be. I would be watching like movies or documentaries or like these shows, and I would be like, oh my God, I want to go to the US. And I would be telling my family that I would go
Did
to
you
the
watch
US
Disney
one day.
Channel and stuff?
Huh?
You watched Disney Channel?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
I did watch.
We all drew that heart, that
yeah.
the Disney Channel characters draw.
Yeah, I did. I watched Friends. I
Yeah.
watched, but I was like fascinated by their culture at some point, and I started like learning more about it. And
I think it's the opportunities that you can get there, right? It's
Exactly.
just people are not in that comfort zone that you felt, let's say, living in Morocco. Because if you grow up knowing that, okay, at this age I'm going to get married, at this age I'm going to have my first child, my future husband is going to be doing A, B, C, D, E, it's so much easier for you to live when you have that comfort zone already planned out in your life. The moment you leave that comfort zone is when you start getting anxious, right? And a lot of people don't want to go through that.
Yeah.
They just don't. Whereas I believe that you looked at it in a very optimistic way. You looked at it as, I want to leave my comfort zone because I could be A, B, C, D, E, right?
Exactly.
And that's what America was basically giving you, right?
I've always seen like successful women, and I have dreamed of becoming one.
Right.
And in my entourage at that time, they would look at me and say, "Oh, like it's meant for others." I'm like, "What do you mean it's meant for others? Oh, who's going to take you to the U.S.? How are you going to work in, in top firms, or how are you going to like be someone, or just be an entrepreneur whatsoever?" People saw those things as just dreams. But for me, fundamentally speaking, I felt like I could do it. If someone else did it, I could do it. And I used to study athletes a lot. I would love to watch their stories because, they challenge their bodies.
Capacity,
They challenge their bodies. They challenge who they are every single day. And I was like learning from that. And I was like, okay, if someone can drive an F1 from nothing, I could do the same, right?
And feel the force of gravity on them for like the 3 hours that they're on
I could do the same in my own at my own capacity,
And you didn't tell me, behind the cameras that you were an extremely creative soul, and you still are, with singing and with music and with everything. Was that a big part of the American dream as well?
It was a childhood dream, the singing, right? It was a childhood dream. I've always dreamed that I wanted to become a singer, I was very natural singing at school. I was never supported, of course, because I come from a conservative family where singing is kind of a taboo. Like, you're just going to be a singer or entertainer. That's not what you should do. You know? They wanted you to become like a doctor or a lawyer or something, right? Even business was seen as taboo in my environment, where people with money are evil people. It's what people think, right?
Right.
And so
money rots you. It doesn't make you a better person.
No, if you have money, then you have stolen it, or you're evil, or it's what I was being fed as an adolescent, let's say.
Right.
Until I moved and I saw people, and it was like, none of this is true. And this
because you potentially saw people that don't seem rich but are. Because I feel like a lot of the times we connect richness to certain flashy moments that we see online, or especially here in Dubai, like everybody has money, everybody has a good watch, everybody has a good car. But sometimes the people that are actually truly rich, they don't need any of that.
You don't need validation.
You don't need validation. Yeah, for sure.
People do these things for others.
Yeah, 100%. How did that jump happen from Morocco to the US? I mean, first of all, I believe there was a lot of like restrictions. You have a Moroccan passport, if I'm not mistaken, at the time especially.
Yeah.
A lot of restrictions to move to the US, I suppose. Like, how did you do it?
So I believe, first of all, in the law of attraction, and I believe if you have
Joe Dispenza fan, yes, we'll get into that after.
I believe that if you truly if you can visualize where you want to be, and of course you have to put realistic goals towards that, you're gonna reach there. So everybody around me was like, "Oh, you're never gonna go to the U.S. It's only meant for rich people, or for people with a backup, especially their families that can back them up." But I knew that I would go and get a sponsorship. I just knew these things. I don't know. I just believed. And so what happened is, I was in high school at that time, and there was this space camp where NASA has came to every single country, and then they started going to high schools, and they wanted to test to pick up like people to go into the camp, right, and to represent the country. And I was selected. But my goal, everybody was like, "Oh, you're still young and you are so lost, and sometimes you want to be an astronaut, sometimes you want to be a singer, sometimes you want to be I don't know what."
You had interest in space as well?
I did it because I wanted a scholarship.
Okay.
At that time, they were like, "Oh, why are you going for a space camp competition?" For me, it was the only opportunity I had to go. So I had to take that opportunity.
And you would be there with engineers?
No, you would be there with other students, and then you have a
that
project.
Studied aerospace or
exactly.
Or, okay.
You have a project that you have to study every single day. You go into military kind of treatments or trainings during the whole day. And the
I would do
objective is
this, honestly. Sounds super cool.
yeah, and then if you pass, let's say as a team, you pass the exams and all of that, they give you a scholarship. So for me, it's like, okay, if I'm gonna get a scholarship with one of the universities, then
Right.
at least I'm gonna secure my time in the US. Now, how am I going to spend
And you
for,
were 17.
Yeah, I was 17 when I went.
So you still didn't finish high school. This was part of a
No,
high
no, no.
school.
When I finished the high school.
When
It
you
was-
finished high school.
I just finished the high school before 18. So
Okay.
I was born in December, and so I always kind of
Are you
win 1 year.
Sagittarius?
Yes, I am.
Nice. 7 Aries.
Wow,
Fire
so
signs.
cool.
Most of my best friends are Sagittarius, actually.
We get along.
Yeah. Super cool. So basically, that was your pass in
Yeah,
to the continent over the Atlantic.
exactly.
Okay.
So then when
Your
I
parents
got this,
allowed you? They were fine with it?
no, they were not. Yeah, there was an obstacle.
That's like the first question I have is like your parents would probably be like,
No,
what are you
they were
doing with
not.
yourself?
No, I remember when I went to my dad and it was like, hey, I get this opportunity and now they want to send me to a space camp. He said, for how long? I said, for 3 months. And he was like, who's going to be there with you? And I was like, yeah, there's going to be other students from other countries. And basically, you share a dorm all together, right? And then there's a room where there are 3 girls or 4 girls. And then he was like, no, this is not, I'm not going to be sending my daughter to be sharing a room with somebody in the middle of, you know, the US.
How did you win this game?
So basically, I kind of had this conversation with my dad and then he refused. And then he was like, no, you're not going. And then, of course, I cried and all of that, but he didn't care.
The puppy face didn't work?
Yeah, and then I spoke to my mom. She also said, okay, if your dad doesn't want, you cannot go.
Right.
And then I went back to the president of the principal of the high school and I said my dad refused. And then he was like, okay, I'm gonna talk to your dad. So he called him and then I went to my dad and said, hey, the principal called you. You have to come to the high school. And he's like, what did you do? I said, what was the crime that you did? Because my dad never actually went to any of my schools before, right?
But especially being military, I can
yeah,
imagine.
he's never taken care of it. It was my mom. So for him to go and speak to a principal, he was like, okay. So then he told him that she's going to represent the country. It's an opportunity for her. She's going to be somewhere else. You know, maybe she's going to get a chance to get a scholarship. She still
Anybody
has
else
to
from
prove-
Morocco that moved, or it was just you?
No, it was just me.
That's crazy.
So from every country, they had to select. We were like 10, I guess, at that time.
That's
10-ish,
crazy.
11. And then we did the whole pre-selection until I was the only one who was selected to represent the country. So then the principal has given a deal to my dad. He was like, okay, if you're really scared, I'm gonna send someone from the university to be with her. She's a professor, right? And if you agree with that, she's gonna take care of her. She's gonna be fine if you're worried that something bad is gonna happen. So, and he bought into it, and then I went to the US, but then I never came back. I was like,
he knew what you were.
yeah, I was like, okay, I got a scholarship and I got to stay here. And then there was another obstacle because the scholarship was only for 1 year.
So you have to prove yourself
for me,
again.
And I had to hide that it was for 1 year. So, you know, and then I said to my dad, whatever you would be able to support me with in Morocco, it would be the same thing in the US. So don't worry about it. Like I'm gonna be okay, you know? So I didn't go into the whole details that the money was not enough and it was a problem. I wouldn't want to bother my parents with that. I remember that sometimes I would be fasting the whole day and not be able to eat just, you know, to support my education. Like I've been, where I would be like saving a lot of money and be eating like pasta every single day, or it was, yeah.
It's incredible. But
I'm
like
getting emotional.
I know, I can see, but it's incredible. Me too. Like I'm just listening to you because I'm thinking you were only a teenager at the time. Like what was your motivation of constantly like seeing beyond the tunnels, finding that light and having that vision the whole time? Because we go through our mood swings.
Yeah.
We go through different priorities in life, especially as women. You know, we have 2 weeks of the month that are normal and 2 weeks of the month that are not, right?
Yeah.
Like, how did you keep going and how did you keep having that one goal and that one vision? Where did you find that ambition within you to, without a penny, I mean, without any sort of physical give back as of then? What was it?
I don't know. I think it's just the way I grew up, really. I think I still remember.
You just wanted to get out. You just wanted to be there.
Yeah. I listened to that inner voice inside of me that was saying, "You'll be fine." I knew that God is there for me. You know,
Of course.
my mom was like, my mom actually gave me one advice. She said, "Please remember all the sacrifices that I've given you, so don't fail me." And that stayed with me all the time. You know, when we were in the university, like all of my peers would go out and party and all of that. I was really, really like focused, trying to find a way, trying to find a job, you know, trying to work things out and trying to support my education and support myself, you know. And it was not easy because I tried to find a job, and then I was working part-time, and then that
Probably
job,
in
what I was
industries that
in,
have nothing to do with what you
yeah,
want to
exactly.
do.
It was like project manager in marketing or something.
Yeah, yeah.
it had, but I had to kind of survive, right? And
And where did the bird come knocking on the window with the stock sign on it?
oh yeah, that was crazy. So
How did you get to that point?
yeah, so I'm someone who has always refused to kind of go for jobs that were not aligned with my vision. So for
Okay.
example, I would never go and work in a restaurant. It was not like for me go.
Was it beneficial for you?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
to
yeah,
do
exactly.
it?
Like if I
Okay.
work for a restaurant, for me, it's like, okay, how is it going to help me? But if I work in a call center, for example, or if I work as a
Or like in
project manager,
sales, maybe, or
yeah, then I'm gonna be able to meet other people, and then eventually I will reach there. So I was in this class, it's economics class, when the professor started talking about microeconomics,
Okay.
and then he started talking
Sorry,
about
what
the
did you
stock market.
study?
I studied business administration
Business. Okay,
first,
cool.
yeah. And then he started talking about the stock market, and then I still remember he said anybody can buy stocks. And then I raised my hands and I was like, even people like me, like I'm a student, so maybe I have in my savings like, I don't know, a couple of $100. And then he was
Yeah.
like, yeah, of course, anybody can trade stocks. And he said, so it means I can buy and sell? And he said, yeah.
Where can I buy it?
Yeah, exactly. So that information, I still remember that day.
Light bulb above your
Exactly.
head.
Like I had some crazy fire inside of me. I was really driven by some sort of weird force. When I went straight to my room, and then I started searching about it. You know, what is this? What is the stock market? How people buy and sell?
But you know why? Because I
got
feel like that was, sorry to interrupt you, I feel like that was the only thing that you could fully be independent on. You didn't need to depend on anybody else
exactly.
to do this. Like, it was in your control.
Yeah.
And then you saw that that could be successful because you know what you're capable of.
Exactly.
Like, I think it
Exactly
was
that.
that.
Exactly the point. And then I started searching about it. I started learning about it. I found a lot of information online. And then I was like anybody else. I was lost about what's true, what's not true. And then I found a lot of accounts of, you know, traders pretending to be like gurus that were actually scammers. And then I was trying to find my way out, right? But and then I started creating these paper accounts where I was like testing with paper money, and I was just like anybody else trying to find my way. But all I knew is that at that time I was completely obsessed with this whole process, and I knew that I wanted to do this professionally.
What was
So
the first stock you bought?
It's called Eyes. It's a pharma company. I don't advise anybody to buy it because it's a penny stock.
You know, my first
I
stock
don't
is
think
also
it's
in a
there
pharma.
anymore because it was a ghost company. But it's funny enough, that was one of the first. I was doing a lot of pharma trading when I first started. I was doing penny stocks, which is stocks
Way before
below
COVID,
$10.
I suppose.
No, that was a long time ago when I was
Yeah.
like 18, 19.
Yeah, yeah, crazy, crazy.
But it took me a lot of time to actually, I put it as a task for me. I started learning about it,
Right.
like in the proper way, taking classes, you know,
course.
asking for information, going to professors. They would explain things to me.
Mm-hmm.
But then the trading part, you need to get a professional trader, right, who is a technical analyst. And so I really educated myself enough before jumping in with real capital. And then when I decided to jump in, I started with a small account of $1,200, I guess. It was not.
Okay, incredible. So you kind of just found your passion in all of that, and
Yeah.
you've continued developing it.
Yeah.
So fast forward, when you finished university, you got straight into Morgan Stanley, or how did it work?
Yeah, so it's very interesting. At that time, I wanted to learn more. So another coincidence that happened to me is I met Mitzi Purdue, who became my mentor. So she was a billionaire, and I think that woman
Coincidence,
kind
you
of,
manifested it.
I manifested it.
1 billion %.
So yeah, funny story is that I was in the university at that time. I was like in the theater, and it's on the auditorium. And I still remember my colleague was like playing piano, and I was singing. And there is this woman called Missy Purdo who passed by, and she started hearing my singing, and then she's like, "Oh my God!" Like she watched the whole thing until I finished, and then she walked in, and she said, "You're so talented." But you cannot go anywhere without putting the effort for your talent. If this is something you want to do, you have to pursue it. And then she gave me a card.
Sounds like a movie.
It's like a movie, I swear. And then she gave me this card. It just has her email, and then that's it. And then she left. And she was like really dressed up in a very normal way. Even she had a mushy kind of bag that looked a little bit old. I hope she doesn't see this, but and when she left, I didn't recognize it was Mizzi Purdo.
The one.
Yeah, the one. Until my colleague was like, "Oh my God, do you know who that is?" I was like, "Who is she?" She said, "Google it." And then I Googled her, and she's like, Mizzi Purdo. She comes from, one of the wealthiest families in New York. I was like, "Oh my God." And then I went to her, and then I was like,
Can I sing for you?
Can I sing one more song for you? She was such a nice lady. I went to her and it was like, "Hey, I'm a little bit confused. I don't know what to do really because I'm studying business administration, and then I've just heard about the stock market, and then I'm singing, and you said talent. I don't know if I have to pursue singing." And then she's like, "Oh, just send me an email, and let's keep in touch." And when I sent her an email, like I was very straightforward that I was a little bit lost at the beginning of my career, like anybody else. But
You took yourself so seriously. I mean, you were only 19, 20 years old. How old were you?
Yeah, I think at the time it was like 20,
Which is incredible because people that age are out clubbing and doing their things.
I
and
was
having
never, I think I
relationships
watched a movie. I went to the cinema. I think I was like 25. The first time I went to the movies.
No way.
Yeah, so I've never kind of had crazy fun or fun.
Right.
I was so focused in what I was doing.
I'm
telling you, I went to the movies when I was 25.
That's crazy.
So then I went to her and it was like, "I'm really interested about the stock market and I want to pursue it professionally. So what can you do?" And this is when she introduced me to Roy, and she's like, "Hey, you got to find your way to reach out to him.
Okay.
And you go and meet him." And so when I met Roy, he's a professional hedge fund. He's one of the top hedge fund managers in Wall Street. And then he's just looking at this crazy woman. And then I'm like, "Look, one day I'm going to be here. One day I'm going to be in Nasdaq or New York Stock Exchange. One day I'm going to be one of the top traders." And he just looked at me and was like, "All right, a lot of people said that before, you got to work hard." And then I remember he gave me this big book and he's like, "Oh, go read it and come back, or something like that." And that pushed me to really like work hard. He said, "One day, I know that we're gonna work together. How and where and all of that, I don't know."
Please tell me you wrote a book. Like, do you have a
movie? Yeah, I
did.
And then later, I joined him as an intern in the firm, and then I started learning about it professionally. And then when I graduated from university, I applied everywhere, and I applied to Morgan Stanley. And then after Morgan Stanley, I was an analyst, and then I went to Nasdaq. I was in the floor as a trader. So I pursued it professionally later on. And I don't regret that decision. I think it was the best thing I've ever done.
Incredible.
And all the awards and achievements, they just followed later. It was never that I was, actually, I never thought I would like get all of these awards and be the top and outperform the markets and all of that. For me, like it just started from supporting literally my education. And
of course,
I just
fighting with your family to even start it off somewhere, like that's incredible.
And then I thought it's a skill like any other skill, and I have to develop it, and I have to be really, really good at it.
Of course.
And that's how it happened. And I think I tried different strategies, and then I tried different methods, and until I found what's really suitable for me.
100%. No, but especially because it's an industry and it's a market that never sleeps, from what I know. It's an industry where you have to be constantly on the go, be agile, be resistant, be adaptable, be very analytical with what you're seeing, right? Which leads me to the next part of this interview where I genuinely just want to talk about the stock market, literally like for dummies. If you could explain it from A to Z for our viewers, what it is, and then we'll take it from there.
Yeah, so
Because
basically,
we have a lot of myths. We have a lot of, movies that are going through our head and Wolf of Wall Street, et cetera,
Oh, yeah.
right? And I want you to just explain from your perspective and your definition of what it is, how it works. And then we want to break those myths because I think our audience has a lot of questions on.
Yeah, so
on it.
when people hear about the stock market, they think of the movie, as you said, and then it's the chaos and all the noise around it, the screaming and all of
And
that.
the
None
men
of it
as
is
well.
true.
It's men.
Yeah, it's a
It's
man's
constantly
world.
men.
Finance is a man's world in
Yeah.
general.
And look at
But
her
then-
coming in with her pink suit. I love it.
This was not planned. Okay?
It's subconsciously there.
Yeah, so it's nothing of all of that. I think trading is a lot of discipline, a lot
Okay.
of strategy, preparation, a lot of data. You need to be able to understand and read the data. And then these kind of decisions that you have to take in milliseconds when you have, flow in and flow out of millions of dollars that are happening in milliseconds. And so it's all of that pressure that you have to take. I always say that trading is like driving an F1 car. And you won't be able to be a champion until you go through all the trainings, the preparation, the data, understanding it, and be able to take like millisecond decisions. What's the misconception that a lot of traders have, especially retail traders? When I say retail traders, is normal people that are not doing it professionally. Is that they see a screenshot of
Which
a
is
profit.
most of the population. Like mostly people don't do it professionally because it's open to the world. With
Exactly.
All these.
So they see a screenshot of a profit on X or on Instagram of somebody, and then thinking this is the norm, which is wrong. According to the data, 80% or 90% of retail traders fail, and it's not because of the strategy. It's not because of of the instrument that they're trading, but it's because of the lack of discipline. And you have to remember that as long as you're doing it as a retail trader, there are other professional people out there that have most advanced tools, they have algorithms, they have strategies in place that are doing it professionally, and they are moving millions of dollars. So if you don't know what you're doing, then you're gonna lose your money.
100%, 100%. Tell me a fun story that happened in Morgan Stanley. Something that you remember that was like a crazy day.
Actually, I remember one story that happened in Nasdaq.
Or Nasdaq, yeah.
Yeah, it was the first trade that I have done.
Okay.
And I have lost more than $80,000 or $85,000. So everybody was like, yeah, she has a great track record. She has a great performance. She's going to do great and all of that. And then I was driven by greed at that time. And that's the moment I understood that being very disciplined and controlling your emotions is all it takes. In the markets reveal the greedy, it reveal the fearful people.
It really shows who you are.
It really shows who you are because you're in front of that money, right? So you can tell who's in front of you. And I still remember that I was afraid. I was like, I had greed. Well, not a little bit of greed, but it was like,
really?
Yeah.
Because you sound so perfect. And I kept wondering, like, was there a moment where you messed up with something?
Oh, I messed up with a
moment
lot of things. I'm not perfect. I messed up with a lot of things. I did a lot of mistakes. But this is one of the, because everybody was like waiting for me to make the best trade. And when you make a trade, you have to know your exit point, regardless of where the stock is going. Even though it's outperforming your exit point, you have to exit at this level. My mistake is that I was like, yeah, I'm supposed to exit here, but let me wait because now it's doing good. And it's that millisecond that ruins everything because I did not exit. I kept waiting
before,
and then it just went sideways, and then I was like, okay, my God, I have to cut my losses.
Which is crazy.
Yeah,
you had to go through it.
You have to know at what price you're gonna exit. Just take your part of the stake and leave.
And how do you think traders just emotionally manage that volatility? Because it happens to everyone, right?
So what a lot of traders do, they would either trade with leverage. Or they would get really, really greedy. So they don't have a stop loss. They wouldn't put an exit price, for example. They would just like buy something and wait, and be like, yeah, it's doing good. My friend is also trading and he's waiting. And then, or listen to somebody's advice online. And there's a lot of signal platforms as well. So they would be listening to others. I think that's the mistake they do is because they follow others. So you can make money today, but it doesn't guarantee that you're going to make money tomorrow. What makes you successful in trading is basically the consistency, is you being able to read the data, you know, to understand patterns. Patterns is everything, you know.
It's all patterns, yeah.
Yeah, to be able to understand technical. A lot of traders just trade charts. I started like that, but then if you want to move into building wealth and be
Those
an
are the
investor, yeah, then you have to understand also the macroeconomics, you know. You have to be able to read the charts or read the stock beyond the technical analysis, but also the fundamental analysis.
But in order to be fully successful, do you always need to have some sort of extra information that the normal crowd doesn't have? As in, is there some sort of like things that we predict might happen, but you have concrete facts what's going to happen because you have connections with government, connections with companies, connections with... Do you think that's also a key to being successful, is having that network?
No, I never had that, for example.
Really?
A lot of people, they would say, I mean, this is what you hear all the time. People are saying,
I don't know how legal it is as well to have this network. It's probably quite illegal to find out certain bits and pieces of information before time and then invest your money there.
I mean, for sure, these people, they have insider, like you get those insider trades, for example, or insider information on what to buy and what to sell. I'm sure these people make a lot of successful trades ahead of time, especially if you're closer to somebody who's working for the government. And we see that a lot, especially after Trump.
We'll talk about that.
Yeah.
Very soon, yeah.
But I really think the whole market is about you predicting what's going to happen next. And it's all about how good are you at predicting what's going to happen next, right? When you see a chart, you're predicting a pattern, but it doesn't mean that it's going to fulfill or not, right? By the way, the first thing they teach you in the markets, in the floor, is not to make money, but how to save your money. That's the first lesson.
Because you just get so addicted to constant...
Yeah, is risk management. How can I protect my money? What retail traders do, or retail investors, is they focus on how much money I'm going to make. And then they don't care about consistency. They just blow up their accounts by trading one stock or one instrument.
Do you think it's healthy if you actually diversify where you invest your money in?
Of course. You should have a strategy in place. You should know what are you doing, right? Where are you diversifying? How are you hedging your positions? You know, what do you want to do with this stock that you're buying? What's your plan?
And what would you tell, let's say, my generation now, right? Like there's, I think, over 100 people that I know in Dubai that are on, and we spoke about it, Sasho, Interactive Brokers, all these different applications, etc. What would be your piece of advice for them? Because at the end of the day, there's so much fuss and there's so many videos you can watch online. Nobody, like you told me, he gave me a big book, like when Roy gave you the book and you started reading it, nobody does that anymore. Unless you're super into it and you have that insane ambition to enter Wall Street, you're going to open YouTube, you're going to open Instagram, TikTok, look online. Who can you trust, right? Because there's a lot of fuss and there's a lot of fog and there's a lot of just talk around this conversation.
You should actually invest in yourself.
But that means you have to read the news. You have to read what's going on in the markets. You have to know like the prices of, like, say, oil, like, and war and this and that. Like, you need to be so educated every single day on the events that are taking place, because that is what influences, I guess, the stock market a lot, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Okay. No, I'm just thinking there's a lot of people that would potentially watch this video to ask for that piece of advice. You know, what would you advise them to do? Is there certain people or individuals that you would say, like, watch them, they know what they're talking about online?
First of all, if you want to really get started, so first you have to educate yourself. You have to invest in yourself. Get whatever education you're gonna get. Follow experts on social media. Try to follow like the big asset managers out there. They do have a lot of amazing podcasts online where they speak technical stuff. A lot of people wouldn't understand these terminologies, but get familiar with the terminologies first. Watch the news, like Bloomberg TV is free, right? You just turn it on. You don't need to have a terminal for you to follow up with the markets. Follow up with the news, understand what happens. Then if you're more comfortable with stocks or with ETFs or with crypto, follow the instrument that is more suitable for you, you know, according to your risk appetite. You have to understand the risk associated with each instrument that you're going to be trading or you're going to be investing in. And I picked up stocks because I thought at that time they were like more suitable for who I am. You know, I could read the data behind a company and I could also analyze the charts, right? They were more closer to me, but it doesn't mean that I can be successful at trading Forex, right? Some other people, maybe they would be more successful at doing that, right? You have to pick up the instrument that is more suitable for you. And then if you pick up, let's say, 4, 5, or 10 stocks that you're good at, try to understand every single thing about these stocks. Don't be like very chaotic at trading everything because you cannot trade everything. You don't have the right equipments and instruments, you know, like 24 hours out of 7.
And it's a bigger formula to failure.
Yeah. So pick up the right ETFs that or stocks that you're really good at, that you can understand the patterns and trade them every single day. Not every single day you're going to find the opportunities, but at least follow up the updates of these ones. For example, if you're someone who's traded Microsoft or Apple, right, or the Mag 7, then these are the ones that I'm trading. Some people, they only trade indices, right? They pick up 2, 3 indices, and this is what they trade every single day. But then you have to follow up with them. You don't be distracted with, oh, I hear my friend, you know, trade in XRP, and then I just go and trade XRP. It's out of your radar.
Fully.
And then understand what drives them, and of course you're gonna listen to other broadcasts or what people say, but don't take that as a recipe for success. You have to be able to develop your own recipe, your own formula of what works.
And your own experience.
And what works for me might not work for you. So it's a really personal choice. Just like investing, for example, some people are so good at investing in real estate, they're just natural. Or they invest in steel or in car industry. Yeah, some people are, they are natural by default, right? Our old generations, like grandmothers or grandfathers, they were good at investing in gold. So they were just natural. Whenever gold is down, they would put more money into it and so on and so forth. My father, for example, he would, whenever there's a good opportunity in real estate, he would just go and buy it, and he wouldn't like bother himself. This is his, you know, his style, right? So,
do you think that there's a lot of uncertainty now with Trump coming to power? Like, we have to talk about him because, you know, what happened with the market, I think it was a couple of months ago, really took everybody by storm. I remember we were going to some financial summit literally the day after the whole tariff situation took place.
Yeah.
And there was me being spontaneous with my mic and trying to ask like everybody there the question of like, what do you predict is going to happen? Blah, blah, blah. Why? 30 people denied interviews with me. I've never felt more like friend zoned in my life and more ghosted. I swear to God. So I really understood that this has affected people. But at the same time, at the back of my head, I'm thinking, guys, like, falls happen, and I watched a lot of movies about it as well. It's like, not even go back to 2008 crisis, etc. Like, falls happen and fluctuations take place. It's about the long term. So just close your eyes when this happens and wait, let's see. Don't like take your money out now. What's your take on all of this situation that has happened, and what do you think will be there in the next 4 years that Trump's in power?
Yeah, well, there is a lot of uncertainty in the market. So it's really hard to keep invested for the long term, especially with US equities. We had 4 drawdowns just this year, right? And then with that, a lot of people lost a lot of money in the markets, different instruments. I think gold was like outperforming. We had more than 3 all-time highs of gold, and I think gold is gonna reach $5,000.
My dad was telling me, like, I told you 3 years ago to invest in gold and to buy yourself gold bars. Why didn't you do it? Blah, blah, blah.
It's still gonna go up. I mean,
really?
It's never too
so
late,
I should
right?
do it?
Yeah, you have to avoid the FOMO. It's one of the most important things in trading and investing, right? And so there is a lot of uncertainty in the market. So if you're gonna be invested at a personal level, okay, I'm not giving any advice to anybody, but personally, I don't hold anything for a longer term, you know, especially if I'm trading US equities. I have hedged my positions, right, with commodities and different instruments. But for US equities, for example, just invested for a couple of days and then I'm out. Whenever there's a good opportunity, I buy and sell, especially for our clients.
Do you
Because
sleep?
there is a lot of uncertainty. Yeah, I do. I sleep 8 hours a day.
Really? Good. Good to hear. Good to hear.
When you have systems in place, you don't have to worry about all of these.
Right.
You know what you're doing, right?
Right.
You have a strategy and you have a plan in place.
Right. But I suppose when certain situations happen, like the one with the tariffs, you just have to calm down, right, and not look at your little application and
I
just.
mean, there is an announcement and you have to be aware of when these announcements are happening. So this is again the problem with retail investors. They don't know the exact events and where they're happening.
Whereas
And if
tariffs,
they
you spoke
happen,
about them way before.
yeah,
that
for
they're
example,
gonna
there's a
happen.
CPI call. What's going to happen? What are the two scenarios? You know, if Powell says this, what's going to happen? And if he says that, what's going to happen? You know, if it's a dovish or hawkish decision, what are you going to do? And you have to prepare and plan before that. So a lot of asset managers, they would be out of the markets if they are day trading, right? They would be out of the markets waiting for that decision and then take the next move. If you're trading, it's a different strategy. If you're day trading, it's a different strategy. You know, a lot of traders, you would enter a position today and by the end of the day, you're out of the markets. And if your strategy is to invest for the long term, if you're buying gold, for example, you cannot do that because you're investing for the long term. So whenever the market is down, you know, you buy more. It's called the dollar cost averaging. So you just keep adding to your position. And so it really depends on what you're trying to achieve, right? That's what it is.
Got it. Got it. And what's your opinion and take on the whole events and the global situation that's happening right now with all the wars and all the conflicts and all the uncertainty that's there? What does that write for us in the future for the stock market? You guys are so used to it at this point right now that you know what you're doing probably.
Yeah. So what we have witnessed is that U.S. equities are just breaking records at all-time highs, and I think
because they're selling weapons.
No, I think tech stocks are still doing well. There's a problem with valuations as well. But what I think is that I think the market is still going to go up, especially after the next interest rate cut. And this is the first time where you see U.S. equities and gold, they're going in parallel.
Okay.
And so I do expect the U.S. equities are going to do well, but then I believe there's going to be a crisis. We don't know when, but there's going to be a crash maybe after Q1 of next year.
Really? Okay.
And there's going to be a big correction. And then, but I believe that gold is going to outperform.
So we keep it in gold.
Yeah. So exactly. I think you should keep investing in gold whenever there's an opportunity. This is what I do. Whenever there's a good opportunity to buy, I just go and buy and add to my positions.
Okay. And you do it online, or you actually go and buy an actual block of gold in the?
I do it online.
You do it online,
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe I should try it. I've never thought about it.
A lot of people, they do have different philosophies. They're like, what if these platforms crash? Then you have to have the physical one. If you think about it from another perspective, you're like. You believe that there might be some global crash when you lose touch with your device or whatsoever, then yes, you have to have these physical bars.
Do you think it could potentially happen?
But it's really hard nowadays to have these physical bars in your place and all of that, right?
You could also lose it or get it stolen. So
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I see. But do you think potentially there's a way for it all to crash, or you think it's just too strong and the dollar is holding everything?
The dollar is getting weak by day.
That's what we're scared of.
Exactly. That's why gold is at all-time highs. I think there's going to be a big correction. I would say a recession because everything is getting very expensive.
Similar to 2008?
And think, what is it?
Similar to back to 2008?
Could be. It could be worse. I think it's going to be worse.
Okay.
Yeah. But I mean, look at it. Everything is very expensive. So you as an investor or you as an entrepreneur, what else are you going to buy, right? So now entrepreneurs or investors are looking into taking advantage of the interest rate cuts because now you can borrow cheap money for your projects. But then look at it from the other side. Even though the money is cheap, but then everything else is expensive. If I want to buy the building where my business is, for example, to expand or whatsoever. The land is expensive. Everything else around me is expensive in every single sector. So then what are you going to do with this cheap money, right? The best scenario for an entrepreneur is cheap money, and then there is still good opportunities.
Right, right.
You know, and you as an investor, you make money during recessions when everything is cheap and everybody is afraid and everybody's selling. That's when you make money, right?
Okay.
Not when everything is at all-time highs.
Right. So when the moment happens, we should buy.
Yeah, of course. If you're thinking about buying real estate, yeah, you should buy when it's cheap, right?
Yeah.
Or when you're thinking about making a big investments. But now, like, stocks are all-time high. Everything is expensive, so it's becoming really a challenge for people to buy.
Oh, let's see what the future holds. You never know in this crazy world. Yeah, you never know. But to go back to the topic, so basically, how did you end up in Dubai? You've just given me all your stock market knowledge and expertise in Morgan Stanley and Nasdaq, et cetera, What brought you here?
That's another challenge. So So when I heard about Dubai for the first time and I Googled it, you're going to laugh about me, but I didn't know it was in an Arab country. And when I ended up knowing that it was in an Arab country, I was very fascinated. So I was like, wow. And then I started looking into the agenda. You know, they had these amazing Vision 2030, and they had all these great visions right there, and the plan for the future. And I was like, let me first learn about how this whole country made it to where it is in 15 years. And I started learning about the history, and I was like, this is amazing, this is fascinating, you know? And I spoke to my mentor, and I was like, I think this is gonna be the next big thing. And then both of my mentors
What year was this?
2017.
Okay.
Yeah. And then they were like, oh, a lot of people made money before that, right?
Yeah.
Within the construction of it. But I was like, yeah, but there's still great opportunities. I think they're going to be first in almost everything, you know,
when it comes to tech and AI.
Because they were, at that time, they were already first at so many things. And then Sheikh Mohammed Rashid had great vision, you know. It was really motivating. For me, it was like a country with a lot of ambition and all of that. And it was like, in the US, it's already saturated. And I think that's going to be the next American dream.
100%.
And so when I came here, I just decided to leave everything, and I wanted to start my entrepreneurial side. And then
How
it
old
was
were you?
like, I think it was 24, 25. Yeah.
Entrepreneur at 25 already, damn.
I mean, in the US, you do see entrepreneurs at the age of 18, 19.
I know, but you have Silicon Valley. Like, you have a lot of, let's say.
Yeah, you have a lot of young people. They are like 20 and they're billionaires, you know?
Yeah.
So,
but it's also a country with 350 million people, right? So
yeah.
You'll find everybody and everything there.
But there are these crazy dreams, and anything can happen, right?
Yeah.
And you can do it. So
I see.
So when I came here, I was like, yeah, I'm just gonna be my entrepreneur. I'm gonna build my thing. I know that I'm gonna be in the right place.
Right.
And I just decided to just take my stuff and come. And I was like, okay, if I figured it out there, I'm gonna figure it out here.
So you're still trading?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm always in the markets until today.
So how did that entrepreneurial journey for you begin? I know this place is extremely, attractive for entrepreneurs in general, and opening up your own companies and tax policies, and there's a lot of things that are super attractive here, especially for foreigners to come and live and build their life here. But how did you kick off that entrepreneurial journey? Because being 25.
Yeah, I always had that dream of becoming my own boss and of becoming an entrepreneur. And in the US, I started with the algos development. I always had the strategies, and I thought of how to automate them. But then I didn't know how to translate that into a business yet, because I was like busy with trading and all of that. And then when I moved here, at first I was working with the executive office in Abu Dhabi, but then I started thinking of what can I do for myself. I always had that dream of starting a business. I remember I started a lot of things that were a failure. I think before that I had a drop shipping idea that I wanted to do, and then it didn't work. And then, yeah, really, because everybody was into drop shipping.
Everybody was into drop shipping.
Yeah, what is it? Let me learn about it. It was not suitable for me. I wanted to start a fashion company, you know.
Okay.
It did not work. I spent a lot of money and then it just got twisted. So, and then I thought of creating a reverse auction platform. It was right when I was in Abu Dhabi at that time. I was living there. And then I started thinking of this next big reverse auction platform where we can apply the same mentality of how the stock market is performing, you know, the buy and sell, ask and bid, but for luxury assets. So anybody today who wants, let's say, cash, they can just put in their luxury item and then we will charge them a service fee, and then later on, after 2 months or 3 months, they can take back their item, and then, you know, we have made the money from that
And
transaction.
they love auctions here, like it's a big thing.
Yeah, exactly. But I learned a lot from that experience, because then I learned about tractions, and I learned the hard work of and the reality behind like starting a startup. It looks fancy, like you can be an entrepreneur, but it's really, really hard.
Such a lonely journey as
At the
well.
end of the day, you're like an employee, but in your own company, right? You don't really make those crazy returns or until one of the last series, or when you exit the company, when a big event happens, right? And we faced a lot of challenges, especially during COVID, when investors started looking for tractions. They were like, we're looking for numbers. How many transactions are you making? So we need more and more and more. And we were spending a lot of money in the tech itself and in marketing. And then I had to reverse the whole idea. You know, we have raised at that time like $15 million. We reversed the idea. We had to change it to adapt to what investors are looking for and to make it more accessible to everybody. Because not everybody has a luxury item, but maybe everybody has an electronic device, right? So we started thinking of how can we, you know, scale this at another level, and it worked really well. I exit from that, and then my dream was to really start an asset management company or an advisory company that is related to what I do. And this is where I have started Multiply Capital, together with my partners, where we focus in M&A, corporate finance. We do the asset management, and also we do have an SPV where we invest in startups.
Nice.
And it's been a great journey. There's a lot to learn from entrepreneurship. It's not as fancy as you think. It's a lot of ups and downs, you know, and you have to really have the resilience. You have to have the connections. You have to build connections every day. It's not a straightforward thing. You have to have a lot of stamina and to build.
There's no such thing
your
as a
own
day
business.
off.
But it's beautiful, right?
Because it's your own.
Yeah, it's just so beautiful. You don't feel like working, especially if you do what you love doing.
Yeah.
You know, I have started businesses that had nothing to do with me, but I failed miserably in them, and I know why, because they were never who I am. They were not representing me, right?
Love your job and job your love.
Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah. I mean, you have to love what you do, right?
You have to.
You don't job your life, but you have to love what you
Yeah,
do.
yeah, 100%, 100%.
Yeah, and because if you love what you do and you don't feel like
It's
doing it, it just feels very natural, and you'd be successful.
But since
in it,
you've
for
been
sure.
on both seats, the corporate seat and the entrepreneurial seat, like which one do you prefer? Like,
Entrepreneur seat.
really? You don't regret the
It's very
decision of moving?
challenging. No, I don't. It's very challenging. You know, there are challenges every single day, but that what makes you better and grow, right? And thank God, like we grow really fast, and we've touched some very big projects. We have, you know, raised amazing money, you know, and we have managed big funds, and I think it's the best thing you can do. I mean, there's a lot of times when I first started, like the first years, I remember I was like always pissed off, you know. I would be fighting with my team, and I'm like, this is not what we wanted. This is the direction we have to go. And then there's these ups and downs. And sometimes I was like, oh my God, why did I start it from the very beginning? You know, I was good doing what I was doing, you know.
Why did
But
I
then
even-
I
yeah.
had my plan B, which is always go back to the markets, right? That's the beauty of having a skill. Because when you have a skill, regardless
do
of what
alone,
that skill
right?
is,
In front of a screen.
I believe that trading is a skill. It's like photography or, you know,
Drawing or, yeah.
or drawing or singing. It's a skill that you develop, right? And if you have that, nobody can take that away from you. So even if you go and try to pursue an entrepreneurship, and you fail, you have an,
Right.
you have a skill
Right,
that
right.
is that has helped you to build who you are.
You have
So,
nothing to lose because it's part of you at that point, and you're good at it,
Exactly.
and you're good at it, and it's not something you forget. Like you learn how to play the piano, you never forget how to play the piano. You know, it's as you said, a skill. But how important is it to actually pick the right partners? Because that's where like the ego comes in and the greed,
Yeah.
and sometimes it's easier in the beginning to think, okay, I'm not in this alone. But at the same time, once you get into the whole story, it's not easy to actually see all of the different personality traits a person has. Like, how did you pick the partners that you're working with?
I think there is no secret formula. Sometimes you have to follow your instincts, but there was some times of my career where I have picked up the wrong partners, and I was like, oh my god, like a partner is someone that you have to trust not only with your money, but also with your vision and mission and what you're trying to achieve.
Be aligned.
Yeah, they have to be aligned, and if they're not really sure, about the direction where you're going, and they are with you on the boat, at some point that boat is going to sink, right? So sometimes you end up picking the wrong partner. Just like in life, you would marry someone you think you love them, but then it might not work after a couple of
Right.
years. It's either because you're in different levels now, or it's just that you're not on the same page anymore. So, and I think also it's a little bit of luck to have the right partners, right? But the most important is to have someone that is ethical, that has the hunger, and that is willing to fight with you in tough moments.
Right, right, right.
And that's really hard to find.
And
So take your time before you find those people.
Before you pick. But talking about partners, do you have a partner in your life?
I'm getting there.
You're getting it. Because I'm thinking,
I'm
do you have
getting there.
time for love? Like, do you have time for
think-
all these things?
Yeah, I think people can have time for anything they want. It's just about how you organize your
Priorities.
day, right? I'm someone who wakes up very early in the morning, and I've picked that up from when I was living in New York. Where I used to wake up at 4:30 a.m. when I was in New York. I wake up at 5:30. But it's all about how you organize your life. A lot of people come and complain about not having time to go to the gym. And I'm like, but if you wake up early and sleep early, you'll be able to go to the
Easy
gym
for you.
and go, yeah, you can do your gym in the morning. It's all about planning your day. It's all about knowing what you're going to do tomorrow. If you don't have that, you're just going to wake up like an accident.
Right.
And the worst thing is to wake up like an accident.
Right. 100%. So you're planning, love and family in the near future? Is this something you would like to, invest it as well in your life? Or would you say career is just everything to you and you want to follow that path for now and see where it takes you? And
I'm someone who was always like focused in the things that are really prioritized, right? And at some point, I've always prioritized my career first.
okay.
And I have like certain goals, but I think I have to get to the family part.
When you're ready.
Eventually, yeah, when I'm ready. I'm eventually going to be with someone, but I don't know exactly when I would want to have kids.
Right.
A lot of people have, different perspective of how this should be. A lot of people say, oh, the clock is ticking for women, and by the time she's 38, she should have kids, and she should raise them, and all of that. For me, it's really just like, some people are not meant to have kids, and some people are meant to have kids. Some people
Yeah.
are meant to have families, some people are not. And I think we should just accept differences that we have between each other, and then you do what's suitable for you.
Exactly. Exactly. No,
A lot of people have children, but they're not really great parents.
Right.
So I'm like, why would you have children
Why
if
did you
you're
do
not
it?
gonna
Yeah.
take care of them?
Right.
So I don't know.
No, the reason-
Eventually, that's the goal, right?
Yeah.
That's what we all say, but we don't know is it going. And I'm not really stressing over it.
Yeah.
I have some friends that are really stressing over it. They're really obsessed about finding that one and having the kids in 1 year. And
You're
I
never
think-
going to get anywhere if you stress over it. Like
Yeah,
you need
and
to
I
let the
think-
energy be very relaxed in order to actually find the right one.
Yeah. And I think if it's meant for you, it's
It
gonna
will
happen
come.
to you. If you believe in that abundance and you
Yeah.
attracting things, it's just gonna come to you naturally.
Right. No, the main reason why I was asking this is because obviously entrepreneurship, especially female entrepreneurship, there's always that topic of family and work-life balance and all of that stuff. That's why I was just wondering, because a lot of women do ask for advice. How do I balance both? It's very difficult because I have a baby, which is my company. I have a baby, which is a live being at home.
So I had
You
a
know?
goal for that, by the way. I have always dreamed that if I have kids, I really want, especially the first years, I really want to dedicate my whole life to them. And so for me, financial independence is really important for the women. You know, you have to be financially independent and you have to be full of yourself. You have to be out of all these traumas and all of these insecurities and all of that if you want to give the right life to somebody, right? So they grow up normal. There's a
Yeah.
lot of investment that you have to put in yourself before thinking of bringing kids. But I always thought of being financially independent. And then if I want to take a break of 2 years, 3 years to take care of the kids, then I can do that, right?
Yeah.
And that's where it gets tricky for certain women because then they don't have that financial independence or they are dependent on somebody else and then they have this stress and then they're like, how can I manage? It's too much for me. But I understand it can be really tough. It's like a project. It's like having a kid is like a project, right? Yeah, you have to.
You're fully
have to
responsible for this project. yeah.
Exactly. You have to dedicate your time, your energy to give and give the best to them. I've seen how my mom was really doing her best to educate us and she sacrificed a lot. But then what are you sacrificing?
Yeah.
You know? So I understand that it's really tough, but
Yeah.
you have to be really sure of that decision before
100%.
you take it.
And it shouldn't be a rivalry between career and kids. They're such two different things, you know? Like it shouldn't be a rivalry. You just have to do things when you're ready, I think. And all of us have different mindsets and mentalities and goals in our life. And that just depends on us and our partner, right, at the end of the day. So yeah.
I
completely
have
get it.
seen some women that could really do magic. I mean,
Some get better at their career with a child at home, you know? Some wake up then, like it's crazy because they have somebody that they're responsible for and they need to provide.
yeah. The other day I was listening to this podcast, the chairwoman of PepsiCo,
Okay.
the ex-chairwoman. I mean, she's incredible. You know, she was like, she was talking about how she was like balancing between, you know,
Motherhood and
yeah, motherhood and her career. Anyways, it was interesting. It's all about how you balance and how you plan everything, right? And at some point, she planned like everything else, and she got really successful at it.
crazy, crazy. Would you say there's any other challenges you've passed through in your entrepreneurial journey here in Dubai? Like, because I know I'm changing the topic a little bit now, but like everything is just so flashy and so perfect. And so, you know,
Yeah.
like, especially people that are abroad, they look at us here as if we're, you know, like all these lucky human beings, which by the way, I dislike a lot because I believe that we've put a lot of hard work and effort into being here, like a lot of CV sent, a lot of late nights, a lot of like ambition that was just embedded in us for us to be here. Nothing comes overnight, in my opinion, right?
Yeah.
Unless you get extremely lucky, but then there's who knows what you did in your past life.
Yeah.
But and all of that, I'm pretty sure there's a lot of, you know, challenges that entrepreneurs pass, and they don't want to. It's not that they don't want to talk about it, but when things are well, you don't necessarily remember how it was at the very beginning. Would you say that you've passed through certain hurdles? What would you say are those main challenges in this market that you're in, this online stock market, right? Like,
Yeah,
here in Dubai.
that's a great question. When I first came in here, I mean, there's this taboo around the woman that is a woman is meant to be just a beautiful figure, and I have faced a lot of people that were not really taking me seriously, especially when I was like pitching my first idea, and then it was like, this is what I'm gonna do. And I still remember.
like,
I
how do
had,
you go to
like-
modeling?
Yeah, exactly. Like I do see the government put in so much effort, and the chefs. I'm really, really impressed and amazed about how they're supporting women out there. But then when I first came in here, there was other people that looked at it differently, right? And I still remember I was pitching to this investor. We were at the boardroom and he was looking at me, and after I finished, and he's like, okay, I just have a question. Like, why are you wasting all of your time with this? Yeah, he just said, I'll give you a better deal. Like, just be my girlfriend. I'll put you in a penthouse. I'll get you the car. I was like, what? I have built my life. Like, you know, I don't need you.
But the
for
fact
all
that
of
he
this.
told you this just means that it did pass before. You
Yeah,
know what
yeah,
I mean?
for
Like,
sure.
where does this confidence come from that you just say it to
Yeah,
someone?
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
it always surprised me.
Yeah, there is a lot of sassy people out
A
there.
lot, a
I'm
lot, a lot.
surprised.
Yeah.
But that was one of the challenges because I think.
And I think it exists everywhere as well, not particularly just here.
I mean, you know, especially if you're taking care of yourself as a woman,
yeah.
you know,
Men's ego sometimes, the toxic one cannot handle
they
it.
only see a beauty. They
Yeah.
don't see the brain.
Yeah.
but when they see the brain, they're a little bit like,
How?
yeah, it's like something is off, you know. And I've heard it a lot. It's like, okay, something is off, like as if it's not the norm, yeah, right?
Yeah.
So I have faced those challenges before, and I think those were really hard moments if someone is not taking you seriously, and then I have to work 10 times more
To prove to you.
than a man in the same field to prove my worth, and that was crazy.
There's this book
And,
that was.
and then I found those men that are really envious and jealous of you, because what I thought was like, oh, women are mainly jealous of other women.
Exactly.
Right? This is what society
You actually
teaches
had
you.
men that were jealous of
But
you.
then it was not women. It was women. They were always supportive to me. I have a great system of friends, and I call them sisters, that are really, really supportive. But it was the men that were envious of me, you know.
Because it's just a male-dominated society.
Yeah, and they try to break me up with every single thing. It's like, I still remember like one guy who was a fund manager. He's an old guy. And then he just threw this comment in a meeting, and then he was like, you know, these type of podcasts or these type of TV shows, I go to them, I get invitations all the time, but I always decline them. You know why I decline them? Because it's only meant for silly people, like people that have nothing to do in their lives, and they just want to show off. And I was like, what are you trying to say? You know, because he just heard that I came out from this interview. It was with a TV channel. So I was like, people have
What's your
different
point?
purposes. Exactly, what's the point? So you're trying to bring someone down?
I'm actually trying to give my advice and my brains out there for younger generations to listen to me and learn from me.
I believe so much in giving, because it's the only time when you receive is when you're giving away, you know, and you have to be generous with your information, with who you are, with just being nice to others.
Yeah.
And you're going to be rewarded at some point. But I think his comment was more to, you know, to attack. Like, okay, this is meant for silly people. Like you're telling me I'm a silly person.
Right,
so.
right.
So yeah, so it's those kind of moments. It was not really straightforward.
Right, right. What's your definition of success?
Impact.
Mm-hmm.
If my goal is to be really impactful and change people's lives to the better. And I think if I'm not able to do that, then I'm not successful.
Mm-hmm.
You know, sometimes my team, I push them. I'm like, yes, you can do this. You can start your own company tomorrow. You can do that. You know, I try to push them. And then I have seen some people, they found it like very pushy because they were not ready for that amount of energy that I'm giving them, right? And then some people, they really changed their lives. They scaled it and they just became great. And I'm so happy that I was one of these people to really push them to do what they want, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So one of them is one of my photographers, right? He was always like shy with starting his own company and all of that. And I'm like, no, but you can actually start a company. You can do this, you can do that. Here's the plan, here's what you can do. And then now he's making great money and he's very, very, very like successful.
You just need a little push sometimes in life,
sometimes
you know?
people just need a little push.
Sometimes people don't have that person at home to like tell them you can do it. They don't have that supportive group of people. Sometimes they don't even want to talk about it. Sometimes they think it's a crazy idea, let me keep it to myself.
Sometimes you just need a small reminder.
Yeah, like one sentence that, but in your opinion, does success equal money?
No, I think money is purpose. I think money is not everything. I think money makes things easy for you.
It's comfort, right?
It's comfort. It can make you decide to work tomorrow or not work tomorrow. You don't need to be worried about if there's a recession, what am I going to do next? You know that you can just take a break whenever you want. It could be a long break or a small break. I don't think success is money. I think money is actually purpose. And then you have money for you to be able to do something with it. And if you're not creating business or supporting others with it, then it's useless. You know,
Because
money
you're not
is
making
not
that impact.
flashy things. Money is actually using it for a purpose to create impact.
Interesting. Would you say you're happy in your life now?
Yes, I am.
You're content.
I'm grateful.
You're grateful.
Yeah, I'm very grateful. I'm someone who's very spiritual. I pray, and I'm really, as long as I don't do anything wrong, then I'm very happy.
Amazing.
You know, sometimes I challenge myself a lot, but that doesn't make me unhappy.
Okay.
You know,
You need the challenge in order to be happier.
I wouldn't say that. I think I think challenges are the ones that shape who you are in terms
Okay.
of character. They build that resilience, strength, and everything.
And when you pass the storm, you're just
Yeah, and you're just stronger, right? But happiness is it comes from the inside. You should be proud of who you are. You should challenge yourself and break those boundaries. If you're not happy with your body, hit the gym and suffer a little bit to build the body you want, right? If you're not happy with your finances, say, okay, admit it first. I'm not happy with my finances. What can I do next? Okay, here's the plan. Here's a goal. And then put a contract between you and yourself and commit to it every single day. And be very, very disciplined. I think the secret to success is being disciplined in your plans and goals. And don't compromise with them.
yeah. You cannot go
know?
wrong if you have discipline. 100%, 100%. So I've obviously spoken to a lot of people about this topic. I usually end my podcast with this, which is why I asked you if you're happy or not. I believe that there is an inner happiness and there's a materialistic happiness. And since you do work a lot of most often with wealthy people, extremely rich people, why do you think that there's so many successful people that are just not happy? Like, why do you think that that line between inner happiness that we just spoke about and materialistic happiness constantly gets crossed? What do you think they're missing in their formula to be successful and to be happy?
I think happiness is really subjective. I have a friend of mine who's actually really, really successful. He's famous. He's super wealthy. The whole world knows him. But he once gave me a call and then he said, can I please sit with you and talk? I think you're the only person I can trust. And I was like, yeah, sure. So we went to this place and then I was just listening to his whole story. And then he was fundamentally not happy because he had things with the family and all of that. And he himself, I mean, he was not receiving that happiness from the inside. I don't know how to explain that.
It's the inner happiness that I was
it's the
talking
inner
about.
happiness. I was like, but you have everything. Why aren't you grateful? You know, what I have ended up knowing is that he was not grateful for the things he had. And he was chasing the things he doesn't have.
Because it
Because
so
every
normal.
time you reach a goal
It's
or
not
a
okay for you.
step, you want to reach what is bigger. So there is no stop. There's no wrong with that. You have to challenge yourself to become better. But every step you should be grateful to what you have achieved. And thank God for that. Because there's a lot of people that don't have that.
Right.
And one of the things I think that keep me happy is I'm a very grounded person. I never forget where I come from, and I never forget my roots. You know, wherever I go, I talk to people, and I don't have problem with speaking to anybody. Or, you know, if I go to a restaurant, I would go and sit and talk to a waiter. I want to understand their life, you know. If I go to a saloon, I want to talk to the people that are working. You know, their salaries are too small. You want to understand how people are actually really living, right?
Yeah.
And then see how can you help to improve someone's lives. But then these kind of stories where someone is telling you, for example, they have lost a wallet and then, you know, they have lost 500 dirhams in that wallet and then their life is miserable. And you're like, oh my God, look at this person who's living like,
Meant everything to
you know,
him.
and then this is everything for them. And you're grateful for what you have, you know? So being grateful and being content with what God has given you is the most important thing. If you're not grateful, I don't think you're going to reach the happiness you're looking for.
100%. And it's just, I think the number one is just being healthy. Having, you know, your family members alive and healthy, I think is the most important thing. And you just reminded me of a thing. I was walking down the streets of Dubai the other day and I was complaining about the heat in my head. And I was like, oh my God, because the taxi driver left me on the other side of the street. And I was passing by Five Palm. And basically the residential pool was the pool that I was going to all the time because my aunt has an apartment there, right?
Yeah.
And I remembered how 4 years ago, it was my first week in Dubai. And by the way, I've lived all over the world. Like I've changed schools 10 times. Like I'm really well traveled. It's not like Dubai was something new to me, right? But I remember going to that pool with her and understanding that there's music underwater in that pool and that it was a Saturday and that I have to work on a Monday and I just finished work on a Friday, but I'm in this pool with with music underwater, and I started crying. I started tearing up.
Wow.
And that tiny moment, it just meant so much. Like, oh my God, where am I? Like, how grateful am I to be here?
Yeah.
To have passed this journey, to have sent 367 TVs, to have changed 4 countries, to have changed schools, to not even be able to just like explain to my peers how it feels to change your social circle every 3 years and make new friends and lose others and change like locations and not have a home. And it was literally a few days ago, I was walking down that street and I remember that moment on that pool, and it was just like, I should still be grateful the same way that I was the first year that I was here. And I decided to enjoy the heat. You know what I mean? So I absolutely agree with you. I feel that being grateful and like going to bed and doing your little prayer and saying thank you is just so important.
It is.
Because everything can be over in a second.
Exactly.
And what's the point? Right?
Exactly.
What's the point?
And you should believe that you are part of this huge, amazing universe out there, and there is a bigger purpose.
Right.
Right. And you should know what your purpose. What is your purpose? I'm sure your purpose is not just to make money and be rich and then buy watches and luxury cars. You know,
of course
I'm sure you're born for something greater than that.
Yeah.
So
100%.
I think it's so important to remind yourself with all of these things, and then most importantly is being grateful.
Being grateful, yeah. No, it really hit me. I agree with you fully. Now, yesterday while I was stalking you, I'm going to be very honest with you. I've taken a screenshot, guys, of her LinkedIn post. And I just find it funny because there's all of these designations that you have, stock trading awards winner, ex-Morgan Stanley, et cetera, et cetera. And then the post goes as following. I've noticed something interesting in the Middle East, how many people act busy, important, or inaccessible, as if that somehow makes them more powerful. They'll make you wait weeks for a meeting or pretend their calendar's full, and it's almost like busyness became the new luxury. Young woman, explain this. And no, but I fully agree with this, and I literally saw this on your story on your Instagram, and I was like, she hit the jackpot.
Yeah.
Why is everybody always too busy here? Why is this the new luxury?
Yeah.
It takes nothing to write a cute message to someone and respond and book a meeting and whatever, right? So what was going on in your head when you wrote this?
I have seen how people treat others. I have received some comments about, oh, who the hell doesn't want to see you? You know, and I'm like, it's not about me, it's about others, right? And think about it. If you're committed to a job, right? You're here right now. Imagine you're here for the next 8 hours. It means you're committed and you're busy for the next 8 hours.
Yeah.
But then imagine you're not here, but you're pretending to be here. And you're telling everybody else that I'm busy, but you're not actually recording and doing anything.
Yeah.
And then in Dubai, I've seen this, not just in Dubai, but in the whole Arab world, as if it's being busy is luxury. But being busy is not luxury. You know, it's because you don't have the freedom to be free.
But you feel insecure that you're not busy enough as the other people?
Yeah, so exactly. So people say, they want to show you that they're busy, because if they're busy, you're going to think they're important and they're inaccessible, you know. But it's wrong. The top people that I've known, the most successful people, and these are billionaires and really, really successful people, you know, they're in the top list of the world. They're always available. Mm-hmm. Whenever I would text my mentor, he would answer me in the next 30 minutes maximum. You know, they're always there. Hey, check in, because they're independent, right? They're financially free. They're independent. And then if you're financially free and you manage your time the way you want. Right?
And the fact that you even got access to them means that they opened that door for you to be there in their life. They wouldn't have even given you the phone number if they didn't want you in their life. Like I think they're super black and white about it.
Yeah.
And there's no
So there are two things
foggy,
here.
Yeah.
It's either they're avoiding you, or they're truly busy and they have a miserable life, because you cannot be, you know, you cannot be financially free and not have time or flexibility in your time.
So you
unless
believe
you are traveling, or for example, your job, you're committed here, you cannot pick up your phone, you know. It depends on, of course, I'm not going to generalize, because I'm not going to put this on surgeons, for example. They are doctors, they have to be in an emergency, they cannot be on the phone available. But I'm talking about people that are in an office, they have access to their phones, and they're just pretending they cannot see the phone. Like, there's no way you cannot see the missed call, you cannot see the message or the email, right?
Right. Just be open about it if you don't want to talk to me, but at the same time, stop acting like you're too busy if you're not doing anything. No, I fully agree with you. Now, we came to the last segment of our podcast.
Tell me about
before our batteries run out. So you have to pick and choose a couple of cards and just answer the trivia questions at random.
Okay. Cool. Can I cheat?
She's doing it, guys.
Okay. Can I pick this one? Sorry. Huh.
You have to sing for us. No.
Shall I? Shall I read it?
Yeah, read the question.
Okay. What was your aha moment that started it all? I think that moment when I first heard about the stock market and the professor talked about it, I believe there was some flame inside of me, a crazy energy, and I felt I was just driven, to do things. And it's like God has put this mission inside of me, this flame to follow it.
Right.
And then it became my purpose. I think that was my aha moment.
And you still believe your purpose in life is this?
I told you about my singing, that I wanted to become a singer. It's so funny. But
I'm pretty sure you would have succeeded in that as well, seeing your personality and your ambitions.
But it was not suitable for me. Like, I'm more of a kind of a rational, low-key, and all of that. In the industry is demanding you to do certain things that you might not be proud of.
Yeah.
And I did not want to be that. I felt like I was in a moment in my life where God has put in me to choose between two destinies. And I had to choose one. And I chose this one. And I know that it was the hardest one. It's so hard to compete in this industry. And it's a male-dominant industry.
Yeah.
But I was like, okay, I'm going to do whatever it takes.
Yeah. To get
if not today, tomorrow.
Yeah. 100%.
So.
Go for one more. Why do you look scared?
No. What shall I do with this one?
Give it.
What's your personal founder mantra?
Impact.
Impact, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
You got it.
Yeah. Making that impact in the world.
Yeah, impact. Like, whenever you want to create a business, think about what is it in for others, not what is it in for you. How is it going to make others' lives easier, simpler, successful. That's why the best applications in the world, they serve others and people find them very convenient. The more you find something convenient, the more you use it. And so that's how you should always think about the impact that you're creating in others' lives.
Cool. One last question for you. If you could
give this one?
Yes, give our audience I don't want to call them the freelancers or the ones that are not gonna take on the stock market professionally, but just in a very nonchalant way to make some money on the side. What sort of advice would you have for them? Like 3 quick pieces of advice that you would want them to do if they were to enter the stock market.
So first, choose the instrument that is suitable for you based on the risk appetite. You should know if you're trading crypto, for example, it's high risk, but then high reward, right? And if you're not the type of a person that is chasing quick wins, don't do it, It's unpredictable. So if it does not suit your personality and you're looking for medium risk, medium return, then you're gonna choose other instruments that are more suitable for you. That's number one. Second, you should always think of diversification. How am I gonna diversify my portfolio, right? If I have $10,000, I don't wanna risk it in one instrument. I wanna diversify that, put it at least in, it's like a basket full of eggs, and you don't wanna break all the eggs or just have one egg, right? So you wanna diversify that basket that you have. A lot of people don't know how to diversify. That's why I would advise them to choose ETFs. So ETFs are one of the most beautiful instruments out there. They are diversified, managed. You don't expose yourself to high risk. And I think they're suitable for a lot of people. So instead of you managing 10 stocks, for example, you can just pick one ETF and it has, 10 stocks for you in that fund, right? But still,
it's already diversified.
With all of that, yeah, it's already diversified, but still, don't put your eggs in that one basket, right? Still, you have to choose different ETFs out there. Look at the ones that providing you with dividends. Decide on which ones you want to trade, and if you want to trade a stock, then, for example, if I'm investing in 3 ETFs that are giving me dividends, right? Then every month I can just contribute to that. it's going to compound. It's all about compounding. Then I have to hedge my positions. Let's say I'm putting gold into my position. And then I have 10 or 20%, let's say 10% is only dedicated to active trading and to intradays, right? So then you can say, I want to have 10% invested into crypto, but then you have to know that it's only that 10% that you're risking, but the other assets are there to protect you and they're to grow.
And they're in stocks and bonds and things that are less risky.
Yeah, and you have to pick up the instruments that you really understand,
And I think the last thing that I want you to talk to us about then is, where do you get that education?
But by the way, the last one should be discipline. Should be very disciplined.
Really?
But education, as I said earlier, like try to understand the news, try to come to conclusions by yourself, understand the macroeconomics, what drives the markets, try to find the patterns. There is a lot of content out there that is available for everybody. What's interesting about this era is that there's AI that can teach you everything, right?
Just ChatGPT.
There is access to information, but there is also access to misinformation, which is very tricky. If you're following like experts, follow real experts that are working for hedge funds, they're working for banks, and they have a track record. Do not follow those guys that are out there telling you about quick wins. They show you a couple of profits and then
this is how I made $1 million overnight.
Yeah, if someone is telling you you're going to make money overnight, they're lying to you.
Yeah.
I remember someone came and said, "Oh, I made like 12,000% with a company. Sorry, I led this company to invest my money, and then they are making me $12,000. They're not even 12,000% returns." I was like, even drug dealing does not make $12,000 return. So, and they're not even regulated. I think they were working on a Ponzi scheme, but you have to know where you are associating yourself with, and just having AI out there that you can ask anything that can confirm information is very, very important.
Right.
Right. Now there are systems out there like Grok. They can do a background check.
Exactly. Yeah.
And they can do everything. So I think you should be very generous with you, and you should invest in your own education.
Right.
There are a lot of amazing universities out there that provide this kind of content. You should know that the people that do it professionally are like investment bankers, investment firms, hedge funds, and they study these things. Yeah. They went to school, they studied these things, right? And so you have to invest in this type of education. Where do they get this education from? There are a lot of top universities that provide you with these courses, right? These are the courses that you have to take because they're provided by real professors. They're provided by real asset managers.
Study that curve, and they study the transitions.
Don't follow someone who's selling you something on social media.
Yeah.
Even if there are some, I wouldn't want to generalize, but there are some that I have seen, like stock traders or traders in general that have like content out there and all of that. Just check their background, because there are some asset managers that want to give free information and education to others. But just confirm who are the people that are selling you this.
Right.
It shouldn't be someone who just woke up and became a stock trader and now he's teaching you how to do it.
Yeah.
Using a trading view that is free, because you have banks that are using Bloomberg Terminal, they're spending thousands of dollars into that, So.
Or at least now we have a Hasnae in our life that can just tell us what's good, what's not good. We're just gonna spam you with messages every now and then. What do you think of this?
Yeah,
Dexter,
my friends do that.
Bexy, did that answer your question? It answered your question? Okay, good. You're free to go now. You're free to go now.
Noted that.
Your takeaways were what? ETFs? That was your takeaway, and discipline. The two most
there are
important
amazing
things.
ones. I'll give you a list later.
Perfect.
There are amazing ones you can follow.
That's what a pleasure speaking to you, honestly.
Thank you so much.
And you're so beautiful to look at as well. And you're so inspiring because
Thank you.
I was literally like every single thing you were saying, it was just, I either connected to it in like some sort of way, or I was just so inspired, or I was like, I learned so many new things today. So honestly, like a very beautiful episode.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that.
Honestly, I wish you the best of luck. I wish you to continue like having all these visions for yourself and having those, we call them the mood boards, like, and just fighting for those ambitions, because you're literally like proof that you can do whatever you want. Literally,
if you have good intentions.
If you have good intention, if you put discipline into it, and if you're grateful for everything that God has given you before that. So really, I wish you the best of luck, and it was such a pleasure meeting you.
Thank you so much.
And
I
hope-
wish you the best of luck as well.
Thank you.
Thank you so
you.
much for having me.
And to many more. To many more.
To many
Thanks.
more as well.